YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back in Total War Warhammer. I told you a while back I wanted to talk a little bit about the lore of the wild, and I've had a little bit of chance to look at it. Not crazy in depth, but enough to tell you a little bit extra. Some people ask, well, what's Lord of the Wild good for, or is it any good? Because when most people play Beastmen, they tend to just bring Morgar and focus on that, and the Gore Bulls and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, that strategy works for the Beastmen, and it's something that probably makes them a little bit stronger, all things considered. But the Lord of the Wild does have some interesting uses. Let's talk about the things that come with it in terms of the buffs that it gives. You get this bestial surge, which gives your entire army more speed and vigor when casting. So as you're casting, it's making your troops fresher and faster for that brief time. If we look through the spells, it'd probably be best if we go to the spell browser and we can kind of see these in action. So here's Lore of the Wild. Vile Tide, which is kind of like an explosion spell. It's okay. I don't think it does a particularly large amount of damage. It says that it does increased armor piercing damage. We'll test it here in a minute and see what it can do. So Vile Tide, just an explosion spell, and if you look at it, it's got a 200-meter range, which is pretty good, and then a 600-meter range when you overcast it, though. That's pretty expensive, probably, for what you get out of it. At 5, it may be decent. Bray Scream is this wind spell. I've not seen this ever be used to any great effect. It looks kind of like Winds of Death. We can try it and see what happens, but I don't think it's going to do a whole lot, because I've never, first of all, the cost of it's fairly low. And, yeah, we'll just see. But Devolve is actually fairly useful. What this is it does a little bit of direct damage, and if you overcast it, it basically does an extended effect duration. So with an overcast, you can use this to create an extended -8 leadership that if you time it with the rear charge, they're taking damage from the spell, and they're being rear charged and losing 8 leadership, plus the rear charge loss of leadership. So that's what it's useful for. Traderkin says that it's good against a single combatant. It gives weakness and slows down speed. I've messed with this one a lot, and I honestly just have never seen it be wildly useful. So I mean, it does slow them down, but again, just, yeah, even overcast, it just didn't do a whole lot. It didn't seem like it was going to be great. Mantle of Cohort makes a unit extremely strong. And it's going to give them a huge melee attack and weapon damage at the cost of armor, and I'll show you what that could potentially be good for. And then Savage Dominion is actually a useful spell where you summon a Cygor. Pretty self-explanatory. Cygor comes out of the ground, throws rocks at people, and steps on heads. Definitely useful because this guy causes terror, and he does some armor-piercing damage, and you can summon him behind enemy lines if you do it properly. So certainly a use for this as well, though be aware it uses a lot of magic and takes a while to cool down. Let's talk through a couple of scenarios here. So first, let's have some fun, and let's do this Mantle of Cohort, I think. So, and we'll actually bring a couple of spells that we can try. So just by restarting the battle, we're not going to need Traderkin because I think it's kind of useful. Let's get the Bray Scream and the Savage Dominion. And what we'll do is we'll set up some scenarios here. Oh crap! Whoops. I'm a HeirofCarthage. Man, why do I always do stuff like that? Seriously. All right, let's go in here. Do you like how I made fun of myself there? Sometimes you just can't help it. Let's take out Traderkin because I think it's useless. So we'll use the spells that might have some viability here. Sure, Icon's Vilification. Why not? So we'll throw that on, and then I'm going to get some of these Warherds. And what we'll do is we'll just kind of put them up against a test run of Black Orcs here. And we'll test against, yeah, we'll test it against the Black Orcs. Why not? Because the Black Orcs are probably slightly superior to my infantry, just in and of themselves. So let's go ahead and give this a run real quick, and we'll just show you some of the Lore of Wild stuff. So what we'll do in the first test is I'll use the Mantle of Cohort on one of my Bestigor, and we'll see how much difference it makes in a fight against Black Orcs, and then it'll only work on one of them, I think, so you should get to see the impact. Now, the downside is the AI sometimes doesn't come up and actually get into an even fight with you here, because the AI can't present it. This is something I need to talk to Creative Assembly about. I'd really like to see a testing mode where you can control both armies to test stuff like this, and I'd like to see improvements to the replay system where you can see the magic. I'll mention this to him before the game releases and see if there's anything that can be done, where you can see the magic, and also a mode where you can hide who the home team is, so like a neutral replay. So when I show you replays, you can't tell who submitted it, and an ability to drop the replay timer as well, if you wanted to go into something like that, just to make the replays a little more exciting from a casting standpoint. Okay, Mantle of Cohort, which is right here. Takes a long time to get it going, but when it does, look at that, 97 attack, 47 weapon strength. Look at the damage they're putting down on these Black Orcs. Some pretty serious damage, in fact. And it lasts for a long time. You can see there's another 15 seconds of it. So this particular Beastlords herd is going to absolutely cut their way through a Black Orc, which is a pretty nice trade-off. As you can see, the other Black Orcs, or the other fights, the Black Orcs are actually kind of starting to turn it around just a little bit. And they may. So yeah, it's finally over, the Mantle of Cohort. You can see it actually makes my Beastlords herd have picked up more kills than the Black Orcs. Let's go to fast forward and see if my Beastlords herd wins that fight. I think they will. Maybe not though, because Black Orcs are pretty resilient. But you can see it's going better than any of the other fights against the Black Orcs in this case. I think they will win it, albeit just barely. So Black Orcs are a pretty superior unit. But yeah, look at that. It actually caused the Beastlords herd to win. So could you use that to win a key engagement? Absolutely. Could you use it to support your lord in a fight? Again, absolutely. So does Mantle of Cohort have some use? Yes, it does. So it's going to make you sacrifice some armor to get massive attack stats. Like, maybe you have a spear unit that really needs to clobber a cavalry unit, or maybe you have a Beastlords herd that really needs to win, or a lord fight that you really need to make an impact on. So yes, it absolutely can make a difference. Let's test another thing here real quick. So I'm going to concede defeat. We'll do the rematch. Jump back in here, and let's test Vile Tide a little bit and see if we can get any decent results on the Black Orcs. So what we'll do at first, so I'm going to try and cast it on some Black Orcs that aren't anywhere near me. And we'll do an overcast version to try and cause the excess damage. And we're going to be trying to see what type of damage Vile Tide can do. So overcast, 8 magic, extended armor piercing, and extended cast range. I can cast it pretty much all the way across the map. Let's see how much delay time there is on it. Not much. So exploded right in the middle of them and caused extremely little damage. I said, never mind, it did 300 hit points. So is it worth 8 magic? Probably not. Let's see what happens if we do a standard cast. Whoops, wrong one, my bad. I gotta wait on it to come back. Okay, here it comes. Vile Tide. Let's do a standard Vile Tide. So, 5 magic. Wasn't the best hit because these guys moved. Why did it take so long and then not cast there? Oh, I wasn't close enough. Ha! No. Okay, yeah, got him. Let's pause it. So, yeah. Vile Tide just doesn't do much. Maybe it's better against unarmored stuff. We'll test it maybe against unarmored infantry here in a moment. Let's go ahead and try out the Bray Scream this time and see if we can get that to work. Okay, so we're going to move forward. We're going to try and get a line of Black Orcs set up. And we're going to try the Bray Scream. See if we can get it to do any damage. Again, I'll overcast it. Breath spells, I mean, they're okay. I've never seen one be devastating like Wind of Death. But they can have their uses. Okay, let's fast forward, or I don't think we have to fast forward. Let's get Malagor out here into a really good casting position for the Bray Scream. Better hurry too, because I don't know how long my guys are going to last. Okay. Overcast Bray Scream. Let's put the focal point like right there and kind of see what happens. I'm thinking it'll focus the most damage onto this unit. Yeah, it just didn't do a whole lot. I mean, it did a little bit of damage, but is it worth all that time to set up? Probably not. Probably not. Let's put a Vile Tide in here. Oh no! I mean, it looks cool, but it really just doesn't do much to the Black Orcs. So, yeah, Vile Tide and Bray Scream, pretty meh. Devolve, on the other hand, can be useful. And I'll maybe demonstrate that differently. Let's concede defeat here. Go out, and I'll set up a slightly different scenario. And we'll have some fun with it. So let's set up a scenario here let's bring something with less armor. So on my own side, let's bring some Warherds or something. Yeah, we'll just get some Warherds. 4 of those will do. And then for the greenskins, again, let's get something with less armor. So let's get some Savage Orcs. Should be a pretty good demonstration. Savage Orcs. Or I should say Savage Orcs is. Alright, so we got some Savage Orcs to do some testing on, and I got my Warherds. And I want to show you kind of these other 2 spells. We're going to need some, like a Razor Gore Chariot would probably demonstrate this pretty well. Oh no, crap. Why do I always do that? Good grief, I'm stinking dunce. Okay, there we go. And we've already tested Vile Tide and Bray Scream, so I'm just going to take them off to make it easier to not get confused. Alright. Alright, let's go in here and test this real quick, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Oh, crap. Well, I forgot to bring the unit that's going to do the attack in the rear. Whatever. I'll show you Deval. Well, we can show you the Cygor one, which, again, its merits are pretty apparent. So you can summon a Cygor with Lore of the Wild, and I'll show you what I think is one of the best ways to do it. Now you can summon them from a distance as needed, but personally I kind of think it makes the most sense sometimes to summon the Cygor right behind enemy lines so as to cause terror and unexpected damage, because people, again, they don't always expect to just see a Cygor show up behind their lines. AI is being stupid here, but should get the point across. Okay, now we're going to summon up the Cygor behind enemy lines. Okay, so here comes the Cygor. Takes a little while to summon, but see, you can summon him behind enemy lines. Now, Savage Orcs are immune to psychology unless their leadership level drops too low. You can summon up this, wow, they already lost over here. So apparently Warherds greater than Savage Orcs. But yeah, this is my favorite way to use it. You can summon this guy behind enemy lines, and then you can see the near instant effect there. It's the Cygor, and then he can throw rocks, do stuff like this. So I mean, this is personally one of my favorite ways to use them, is summon him behind lines and use him in that regard. So see, look, he can throw rocks at the enemy too. You summon him behind lines, which can sometimes be very effective. You having trouble throwing a rock there, Cygor? How do you... Since when does Cygor care if he's obstructed? What kind of idiot joke is that? Obstructed. Just throw the rock if it hits your own guys. Quit being a wuss. Dang, Cygor. You do as Air says. Really? Just throw the rock. Throw it. Throw it. Anyway, Cygor will sometimes throw the rock if he doesn't feel that it harms some kind of pacifist rule. Crybaby. Alright, here we go. Let's quit the battle, and I do want to show you again maybe one of the cool ways to use Devolve. We're going to have to pick a higher leadership unit. So let's pull the Black Orcs back out. So remember, Black Orcs don't die to, or they can't be routed due to psychology, but they can be routed on leadership still. And so let's give that as an example. So we'll get more Black Orcs out here. Let's go back and reset my Bestigor herd. 3, 4, there we go. And all I really need this time should be Devolve. So let's just get that. So we got Devolve. So I'm going to bring some units just to make a demonstration purpose here. So let's get like a Razor Gore herd would be an example. Now at this point you might be saying, well, Air, you got the Black Orcs outmatched. Yeah, you're right, I do. Let's throw in one more Black Orc just for the sake of, so we don't run the power bar up too quickly. There we go. So we'll give him one more Black Orc to make up for the extra spend I put in on the Razor Gore. But I'm going to show you how using Devolve and timing it with a rear charge can create a pretty nice effect. Put one Razor Gore down here, one over here. Get ready to use Devolve. Okay. And we'll just kind of fast forward. Alright, we gotta try and pin down all the Black Orcs preferably. They're gonna really focus on my Razor Gore herd though, because AI's kind of got a singular mind. Let's see if we can tie them all down. Okay. Let's actually make this a little bit cleaner. Alright, so the fight's going to begin. I've got this one in good position. Swing around here. Alright, let's get the overcast devolve out here. We'll do it on these two units as an example. And here comes the rear charge. And let's see. So watch the leadership of the Black Orcs. It's already low because of the devolve and the damage they're taking, and then it causes them to lose the fight. And then a quick rear charge, and you can see that the leadership of a unit is quickly dispersed. So Black Orcs, which are singularly a very tough opponent, extremely quick to be dealt with here. Combination of devolve and a rear charge. The amount of damage they were taking from my infantry, combined with the damage from the attack in the rear and the devolve spell, just really piles up and causes some real challenges for the Black Orcs. And the amount of mana on it is really not too bad. It's got a pretty long cooldown time, but again, the magic cost seems pretty fair. And at this point you can see you'd have other units free for assaulting the enemy somewhere else, and then your rear charges can be used elsewhere. So anyway, that's Devolve. Hopefully this gave you a good look at the Lore of the Wild. I do have a battle to show you too, so that you have something fun to watch. So let's go watch the Lore of Wild in action. Is this replay going to be the best thing since sliced bread? I don't know. It was submitted just so we had some stuff to go along with the Lore of the Wild discussion, though I'm sure it's pretty good. And it's called Woo Pig, which I think we have to watch now just based on the name. This is a throw to Arkansas Razorbacks, I'm guessing. Woo Pig. That's actually where I went to school, but I grew up as an Oklahoma fan, so it's kind of hard for me to really get into the whole Woo Pig idea. But yeah, so for those of you not familiar with it, the Arkansas Razorbacks football team, which is a university football team, they are the Razorbacks, which is kind of a wild pig. And when they're about to kick off and all that stuff, all the people yell, "Woo Pig Suey," which, don't ask me where that comes from. I'm not Arkansas enough to be able to tell you. So as we look at the replay, there were some Harpies initially to try and tie down gyrocopters, which I really like that pick, but there was more gyrocopters than he expected. The Beastman build is pretty hilarious. It's definitely an anti-dwarf build. You've got the Beastlord on a chariot. You got 4 Razor-Gore herds over here. There's 4 Bestigore herd, and then 2 Razor-Gore chariots and a Bray Shaman of Wild on a chariot. So dwarves particularly vulnerable to chariots. Here you can see that the gyrocopter is going to try and tie these chariots down because they know how damaging the chariot can be. But look at that, the chariot has armor-piercing damage and actually hurts the gyrocopters quite badly, even statically there. So understandable why the gyrocopters would be trying to do this. Look at this, the Razor-Gore herds. Woo Pig! That's right, folks. Woo Pig Chewy. Gonna be eating some dwarf jerky tonight. I know, this is a gudgeon. I don't know how many times I'm entered in the book. Could anybody take a guess at how many places that I have entries in the Book of Grudges? I mean, but I've done the dwarves a lot of favors, right? I've tried to make them proud every now and then. So let's see the spell that's being used is Devolve. So here's the Devolve spell. Unfortunately not timed with a rear charge in this replay, but with the chariots breaking through to the rear here, it can have the same effect. But you can see the Dawi leadership's going to stand tall because of the Runesmith and Ungram. But the idea can still be held true. Let's just get some sweet cinematic wonderfulness here as the Beastmen go full Razor-Gore all over the Dawi here. And despite the attempts of the gyrocopters, it is an absolute chariot rampage on all accounts. Those are some cool looking units. There goes your Bray Shaman. Looks like he's casting up another spell. I didn't catch the spell. Oh, those gyro bombs. Check that out. There goes the Beastlord. Oh, they summoned the Cygor. That's what he did. Yeah, so this is what I was talking about. Look at this. Summon a Cygor right in the middle of the dwarf units. You better believe that's a gudgeon. Summoning a Cygor behind dwarf lines? Oh yeah, that's a gudgeon. But it works. So yes, Lore of the Wild in a wild battle full of wild animals with a wild faction. How about that? Is that wild enough for you? Ooh. Yes, it is. And you know you like it. You know you like it. This is pretty sweet. I like this. It was a fun battle. Creative build for the beastmen against the dwarves. And the dwarf, I actually kind of in some ways like the dwarf pick with all the gyrocopters. Against a typical beastman build, it can be very, very functional. But this beastman build was a bit much. A bit much. So you can see the Dawi getting shredded up pretty considerably. All the chariots over here. Look at all of them hiding out in the woods. I think they're being attacked by gyrocopters coming down into melee. Cygor got a few kills. The Bastigor are going to do a good job against dwarf infantry for the most part. The Runesmith, using his Rune of Wrath and Ruin, of course, can put a little bit of damper on the fun. There's some Slayers mixed in here, which I would think would be doing pretty good damage to the Razorgore herd. But the Razorgore herd are going to try and stay on the move and get more rear charges. Gotta love all these chariots. It's too much fun. Look, the Harpies came back. And they're going to attack the gyrocopters. Harpies, definitely a handy unit for this type of thing. They do really good damage to gyrocopters for their price. There comes another Devolve, I believe, which did quite a bit of damage to the remaining dwarves. So, nice use of magic here. Lord of the Wild, they got a Bestigor, or a Cygor summon. I believe 2 Devolves. And then the Chariot with the Bray Shaman doubles over to help get kills and help create massive disruption in enemy lines. So, yeah, let's just watch the end of this battle. About 30 or 40 seconds of good old cinematic goodness here. There's the Mohawk Dwarf Ungram Iron Fist. Not real happy about the situation. And you better believe that he is counting many grudges. He's going ahead and reckoning a couple of the grudges here by killing some of these beastmen, but he'll have to come back after having been wounded for several turns to reckon out the rest of these grudges. Check out the gyrocopters. It's too bad these guys don't do more damage in melee, but I guess that there needs to be some kind of drawback to them. Oh, those chariots just running the gyrocopters over. Brutal. Yeah. Slayer King or not, he did manage to help fell the Cygor, but the Slayer King is slain. And that's our Lore of the Wild discussion, folks. I do hope you enjoyed it tonight. Did I miss anything? Do you want to add anything to the Lore of the Wild discussion? Let me know. Thanks to Dov Plays here for sending in the Lore of the Wild gameplay. Other people submitted some too, and I'm sorry I didn't get to all of it, but who knows? I may get to your replay regardless. What do you want to add? Lore of the Wild, where would I rate it? It's a useful lore of magic. I think it's an underused lore of magic with the Beastmen. To be quite honest, I think that it should get more use. And it really doesn't. It definitely has some pretty good use. Malagor can be one way to use it, but a lot of people would probably prefer to still just bring Morgur and a Bray Shaman Lore of the Wild, so that's definitely one way to handle it. But you can use Malagor. He has some other nice buffs about him and can help you have some fun Beastmen armies. Curious to see your comments. Appreciate MSI for supporting the channel. Their sponsorship is always appreciated. Thank you, my awesome viewers, for being here. Hope you enjoy these videos. I love making them for you. It's a pleasure to come home and record them for you every night. And I look forward to seeing you in the near future. HeirofCarthage, signing out.